All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Dropping Knowledge with Noah. Today, we got a very special guest, a service master, Skyler Chadwick. We brought him in a couple months ago to talk about inventory, which is his other secret talent. But now we're going to talk about service, right? And there's a lot of things happening in the service space. And we saw in Q1, dealerships are doing really, really well. Q2, we saw a pretty big improvement. And now we're seeing, another, prescription, well, not prescription, but like forecast for even better sales in the service and parts world for Q3. So, Skyler, why don't we dive right into that? What's going on with service in the marketplace right now?
Hey, service is booming. It's hot. It's really I think it's what's really helping dealerships get through these difficult times right now. We have a lot of noise out there with tariffs and things like that too as well. And so customers are, they're holding on to their cars. They're not quite sure what they want to do, but those customers that did take advantage of those opportunities we saw in the end of March and first part of April when we saw the SAR increase as well on new car sales, it's a good time to be in service, right? Customers are keeping their cars, which means that we get to service and retain those customers. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be in service and fix ops right now, for sure.
So, I mean, we got to talk about it. I mean, tariffs has been the theme of this year. Whether they're on, whether they're off. What are the top performing dealers doing with regards to this whole tariff, challenge that we're seeing out there?
Listen, it's noise, and it's just noise, right? One day it's different. Right? It's a moving puzzle piece that we all are trying to find that puzzle piece and put it all together, but we really truly can't. We're missing those couple pieces and so forth. And so, it's noise in the dealerships. And so I think what dealerships really need to do is gravitate and build off of it. What I mean by building off of it is like, think about this, right? We saw in Q1, we saw really good service and opportunities there, right? But we're seeing in Q2, we're seeing a 3-point increase. Well, where's that 3-point increase coming from? Well, people need to understand is like, service is only open so many days, right? Where if you look at the car sales side of the business, it's open a lot more. And so we have to maximize the best of those days that we're open. And so in Q2, we have more days that service departments are available. They're open, their hours of capacity and so forth. So really right now, it's about maximizing your capacity constraint and really focusing on selling the hours. And I talk to dealerships all the time. It's like, what should we be focusing? It's all about the hours, right? That's what keeps your technicians hungry. That's what keeps them going home tired, right? Yep. Each day. And so that's what we really want to do is we want to maximize those working days and really maximizing our shop efficiencies, but also making sure that we focus on our shop hours so that we can maximize that potential and really kind of make sure those customers keep coming back for service too as well.
Yeah, that's huge. And speaking of the, maximizing those hours, like unapplied time in service departments, it's a pretty major profit leak, right? There's just times where your folks are just sitting around kind of staring at their tools being like, what do I do? So what are some ways that dealerships can kind of help fill out those hours so we're keeping those service techs busy throughout the day?
It's an interesting question you asked, because when I look at a dealership, we see dealerships use 40% of their actual tools capacities. And I would love to see dealerships, and what we're starting to see is that dealerships are going back and fixing these old processes. And that's why we're consistently seeing service and parts continue to grow, because they're going back and they're fixing these inefficiencies that we see in the dealership processes. But it's really about the customer and how we focus on the customer and make sure that the customer can schedule appointments much quicker. Providing ways like text, right? I don't remember the last time I picked up the phone and actually called the dealership and actually scheduled an appointment. I actually did it through text message, because I actually saved that dealership's phone number and I just text them, say, hey, when can you get my car in? And it just makes it that much easier. We know that text is the best way to communicate with customers. And so that leads me into my next thing is we got to be smarter the way that we actually communicate to our customers and making sure that we get them and we maximize those hours. Well, the only way you're going to maximize those hours is being like the doctor and telling you what's going on with their car. So as a technician, if you're out there right now, you got to be taking photos and videos, and you got to be explaining to the customer, hey, this is what's going on. with your vehicle, and you need to get this done today, and this is why. And in sales, we focus on that why so much. Well, the same thing, we should be focusing on the why in the service department and really focusing on those photos and videos. And so, I had an experience the other day. I took my wife's car in to the dealership, and I get this $1,100 bill, and they're asking me to do all this work. Well, guess what? I see this button here that says see media. And I was like, oh, there's nothing. I wanted to look at the media, and there wasn't anything there. And so we've got to refine and reset ourselves in the industry is like, what's going to really make the best impact to help us sell more hours, right? I'm not going to gain any more customers, right? Shops are really full with customers today. I don't think there's a shop out there today that's not hurting for customer business. And so the question is, we really got to focus on retention, because when we focus on service retention, dealerships, we make the mistake that now, guess what? When we focus on service retention, we're also focusing on sales retention, because those customers are 10 times more likely to come back and buy the next car from you.
Yeah, and I'll echo your sentiment about how powerful text and video really is. I mean, I think last year I was taking our Volvo in for its annual service, and the tech came back saying, "Hey, you need new rear brakes." I'm like, "Yeah, right. I don't need new rear brakes." To do, he sends me a video saying, "Hey, all right, here's your pad. It's at the minimum, and here's your rotor. It's totally scored. Like, you need to get new pads." And so he upsold me on like an $800 brake job right then and there. And if he hadn't used that tech, I would have been like, "Nope, I'm not doing it. You're just trying to throw parts at me." And instead, I serviced the vehicle, and I trusted the dealership more because they actually recommended something that I needed. And now I keep going back to that dealership. It's super important. So, when we're talking about like pickup and delivery, right, that's really like no longer an optional thing for certain dealerships, right? Like, how can, the different software platforms support this shift in the service delivery model? Like, are we seeing dealers embracing that more?
I think we're going to start seeing that a little bit more. I think it's going to be geographical, right? It's not going to work in some areas. Let's just be honest here, right? With dealerships, I think one of the OEMs that we're working with right now is Ford, and Ford does a great job about service pickup and delivery with their customers. They offer to the customers to get them into the dealership. And so I think service pickup and also doing express maintenances and those types of things, that doing actual coming to your home to do those oil changes, we're going to start to see a lot of those OEMs kind of get to that, gravitate toward that. Now, that being said, I think it's going to be geographical, and I think certain areas are going to really excel in it, and some areas are just not going to excel in it, right? And I think dealerships need to be prepared too, as well as as they start to venture off in those specific areas. I think Cox is a great partner to help them kind of design and develop those areas. I think OEMs are getting behind it too as well, because they see the beneficial factor, right? If I can shift a lot of that easy work outside of my dealership, how much more work can I bring into my dealership and get more customers in? And really talking about, again, selling those hours, right? And making sure that we take care of customers if we truly can. So here, if I can go out and send a technician to do, 20 to 15 minute oil changes outside of the dealership, well, that really opens things up in my dealership and really helps me maximize our true potential in helping some more of those bigger jobs that customers have out there ready today, as well as they continue to hold on to their vehicle much longer.
That's huge. All right, last question, and AI. Everybody's talking about AI, ChatGPT and all this other fun stuff. And I think a lot of people are just focused on AI for sales, right? So, hey, we can respond to your lead and answer your questions about this vehicle, blah, blah, blah. But what about AI in the service lane? Like, how are dealerships using AI to help, improve the experience for customers, improve the experience for the service advisors, maybe even for their techs? Like, what are you seeing out there?
I think from a service and fixed ops perspective, it's all about following the trail of data, right? And that's what I think. When I think of AI, I think of data and how do dealerships use that data to maximize the potential. And I think one of the best ways that dealerships can do that is actually through marketing, right? Is my customer due for service, right? Have they prior declined services? And so when I think about data, do our tools that we're using in the service department, are they speaking to our marketing platforms, right? To analyze and say, hey, this is the customer you need to go after, right? Yeah. When we think about declined services, I think that if we send photos and videos, right, we're upselling those customers 50% of the time. I always tell dealerships all the time, you want to increase your sales by 50%, get photos and videos and have a great process in place. But now what about those other 50% of customers that decline that, right? Was it because it was too expensive, right? I can't do it right now. I can do it later. So looking at those things and saying to the data and say, hey, how do we get those customers back into our dealerships? And so taking that data and helping analyze that and finding ways and holes in the actual service scheduler that we can fill in those specific spots for hours and really maximizing and taking that data to the next level.
I love it. And I think, service is such an overlooked part of the business when it comes to how dealerships market, right? The status service contributes about 49% of a dealership's gross profit at the end of the day. But on average, dealerships maybe spend about 5% of their marketing dollars on service. And it's like, wait a second, maybe contribute 7 to 10% and see what that does, right? You probably get a pretty good return on that investment just because it's such low-hanging fruit. And honestly, there's not a lot of dealerships out there actively advertising and marketing their service and using tools like AI to, find those opportunities to go after those shoppers who declined a service in the past. Like you said, it's super low-hanging fruit. And I think in the marketing space, service is still probably 5 to 10 years behind the sales space. And if you're a dealership, hey, take that little extra step to pay a little bit more attention to your service team and give them some of that marketing love. And I think it's going to really help you out in the long run.
And I think to add on to that, just one more quick thing is I think that the best ways for dealership right now, we look at about inventory levels, right? And service and those types of things. Dealerships are looking for cars to buy, right? We know that sometimes the auctions can be expensive and so forth like that. But do you know the best auction that's happening on right now? It's your service lane.
Yep.
And if you think about your inventory solution, is it talking to your CRM? So if I look at all my customers that are coming in for service, which some of them have buying signals, right? What some of them actually been looking for a new car. Those are the types of things that I think that when we look at the actual inventory side of things and you look at the service side, there's so much more connection that we need to do on that side from a dealership perspective. And we really need to focus on retaining that customer and service. So that way we can focus on selling that customer. That's
huge. It's huge. Yeah. And, you've got all the various tools that are out there, like Vin Solutions, right? You can see your service customers coming in. You can even see their equity position. So, and maybe that person's got a big repair bill. I mean, you were just saying you had to drop $2,500 on some new tires, right? Maybe that's a good opportunity to say, we can get you a new truck for about the same payment you're paying every month. Skyler, once again, man, thank you so much. You are the service master. I'm always learning from you every time that we get to chat. But that's it for now. Thanks, everybody, for checking out Dropping Knowledge Noah, and stay tuned for more episodes.